Hello everyone, my name's Pippa. I'm one of the school nurses, and with my colleagues Eva, Debbie and Debbie, we've put together this video to introduce wellbeing to you today. I'm sure this isn't the first time you've thought about wellbeing, and I'm sure your teachers and your family have given you lots of different ideas to help manage your different emotions. Wellbeing isn't about feeling happy all the time. It's a combination of feeling good and being able to do the things that we need to do. It includes the times when we feel worried or excited or sad or disappointed. And it's about how we work through those emotions, manage our feelings and our behaviours so that we can move on. And this is called resilience. Today we're going to cover lots of different ideas and strategies to help us to be strong and resilient so that we can feel our best. We're going to start with an activity. I'd like you to take a piece of paper and turn it and hold it behind your back and then tear out the shape of an animal. I'm going to ask you to pause the video to do this in a minute.
Okay, so as Pippa said, all we need here is a blank piece of paper. We're going to then place that piece of paper behind our backs so we can't see it. And then we're going to try and rip this piece of paper into the shape of the animal we were thinking about in our brains. Don't worry about if you make mistakes. Just keep going. It's all about the feel and the process of trying to imagine your fingers tearing that piece of paper into the shape of your animal. And once you're finished, you should have something that kind of looks like an animal. Well done.
I'm going to show you one I've done. As you can see, it's not perfect. I did it behind my back with couldn't see what I was doing, but I hope you can see it's an elephant. It's got a trunk, 4 legs and a tail, a body and some kind of vague head shape. So I'm pretty happy with this. But the purpose of the activity was never about what the animal looked like. It's about taking a moment and focusing our mind, our hands and everything we've got on tearing a shape behind our back, and taking that time to be in this moment is called mindfulness. Today we're going to cover a number of different mindfulness activities, and this is the first one. If you've come home from school and you've had a hard day, or you're feeling frustrated with your family, taking some time to be on your own and do something like this. It could be colouring, drawing, writing, or it could be just standing and tearing a piece of paper into a shape behind your back. Can give you a moment to pause, to stop all the thoughts that are in your mind and focus on something else. And that's a really important strategy. Pause the video now and practice this behind your back. Well done. The purpose of that activity was to give you something where you can stop and be in the moment. Mindfulness is about being in the moment. Sometimes our thoughts go on a train by themselves. Sometimes we think a lot about things that have happened in the past and worry about that, feel bad or sad about things that have happened before. And sometimes we think a lot about things that might happen in the future and we feel worried or excited or concerned about how that might be. Sometimes we call this ruminating when this feels like it gets out of hand, and thinking an awful lot about things that might have happened in the past or might happen in the future can sometimes feel like it plagues us a little bit, and it's helpful to bring our mind back into the now, doing something that helps us to pause and think about what's happening today, what's around me now. Use all of our different senses is really helpful. Mindfulness is a really good strategy for stopping those thoughts when they start to go on a train that isn't helpful to us and bring us back into this moment. We're covering a number of different strategies today. My colleague Eva is going to do a 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 exercise with you at the end of this video. But tearing a piece of paper behind your back and trying to make a shape is one way that you can do that.
Hello, my name is Debbie and I'm a school nurse and wellbeing practitioner. Welcome to this short informational video introducing you to the 10 keys to happier living. We all want to lead a happy life and for our loved ones to be happy also. Well, good news, this is possible. Our actions and choices can affect our happiness. The things that make us happy are less about having lots of money or possessions, but more about our attitudes and relationships with other people. We can learn practical ways to improve our emotional well-being, which will help us feel happier and also the people around us. There is lots of scientific evidence to show that by introducing small changes in our lives can help us lead a happier life. The 10 keys to happier living are based on these scientific studies, and there is an acronym to help us remember what the 10 keys are. Great dream. The first 5 keys are what you can do to make those changes. If you want to feel good, do good. Giving. What can you do to make someone happy? Relating. Connect with people. What helps you stay close to the people that matter? Exercising. Taking care of your body. Which ways of being active and healthy do you enjoy? Awareness. Live life mindfully. What do you feel about where you are and how you feel right now? Trying out. What have you learnt or tried out for the first time? The next 5 keys are based on how we feel about ourselves and the world around us. Direction. Have goals to look forward to over the next 6 months. Resilience. Find ways to bounce back from difficult times. Emotions. Look for what is good in your life recently. Acceptance. Be comfortable with who you are. Meaning. Be part of something bigger and what gives you a sense of purpose. There are lots of ways to use the 10 keys to a happier life in your everyday life, and more information is available at www.actionforhappiness.org. Thank you.
One of the things we'd like to do today is think about the broad range of different emotions that we have. We've given your teacher a list of words and they're going to distribute them to you. So in groups or as a whole group, I'll let your teacher organise that with you. You can play a game of charades. Charades is when we don't show somebody the word, but we act it out and they guess what might be on our card. So if I pulled this face, can you guess what I was feeling? I might pull that face if I was feeling sad. There's different reasons why I might feel sad. I might have heard of something sad. I might have read something sad. Something might have happened to me to make me sad. Or I might have had a thought about something that might have happened in the past that made me sad. It's different reasons, but the emotion is sadness. It's really helpful to label the emotions and to recognise what we're feeling, because that can give us some control over our feelings. Pause the video now and play the game. I hope you enjoy it and I hope that you find it funny in places. Well done. So there's a huge range of different emotions And some of them are really nice and they make us feel good, happiness. And a lot of them can be quite tricky and difficult to experience sometimes. Disgust, anger, fear, worry. They're not always easy to feel, but we will all experience those emotions in our life. So learning how to manage these emotions and how to predict them is really important. Emotions sometimes come unexpectedly to us. So we suddenly start to feel really worried, and sometimes we haven't realised that that's going to happen. We're going to talk about our early warning system in this video, and that is a really helpful way of tuning into the thoughts and feelings that are going on in our body, which can predict sometimes that these emotions are rising. But sometimes they do catch us unawares, and it feels really suddenly quite overwhelming. What's really important to remember is that emotions are like waves. So just as a wave rises, it also falls. If we ride the wave, we know that it's going to come down on the other side and we're going to feel better. If we fight the wave, if we try and stop the emotion, if we try and stop the feeling the emotion, what can happen is it gets into a cycle and it keeps coming back. This can happen with worry sometimes. So if I'm worried about something and I'm frightened something might happen, I try to prevent it and I try to act in a way that's going to stop that bad thing from happening. Sometimes I can make the feeling of worry more likely to come back.
Hello, my name is Monawara and I'm a children's wellbeing practitioner. I'm going to talk to you about a model which can help us to understand our thoughts, feelings, physical sensations and behaviour. To do this, let's look at an example together using a cross-sectional formulation or hot cross bun method. Here is Amina. She suffers with anxiety around getting the school bus. This is what we call the situation. The situation here is an external trigger. When Amina is waiting for the school bus, her thoughts are there will be lots of people on the bus. What if I have to speak to them? She describes her feelings as worried, nervous and anxious. Amina's physical response to getting the school bus is feeling sweaty, shaky and her heart begins to race. Because of this, Amina did not get on the school bus and missed a day at school. This was her behaviour to the situation. Looking at this model, we can see how our thoughts, feelings, physical sensations and behaviour are closely linked together. They all impact one another. We can see how our thoughts affect our emotions and how that affects our physical sensations and how that can affect what we do in our behaviour. This is a really useful model to help us to understand how external triggers affect us in these 4 areas. But how do we break this cycle and learn to manage them? Let's start by focusing on one of these sections. So we could look at physical sensations, for example. When our heart begins to race, we can try some breathing techniques to manage this. Once we have started to manage our breathing, we might notice that our feelings may change to being less worried and more calm and relaxed. And then our thoughts may change too. This might not be so bad, let me give it a try. This needs to be practiced often so that we notice these changes and are able to achieve our goals. I hope this has been helpful in understanding your thoughts, feelings, physical sensations and behaviour.
Sometimes we can feel overwhelmed or a bit wobbly with our emotions, particularly those emotions we find difficult, such as worry, feeling scared or angry. Our body has an early warning system that works whether our feelings are real or even if we think they are real. We can therefore feel very worried when we don't need to be. Knowing this and recognising what is happening in our body is the first step to learning how to deal with these emotions. These changes or feelings are our early warning signs, which we can learn to identify. Some of these early warning signs could be physical. We may be feeling hot and cold. We may have a fast heartbeat, tightening of the chest, quickening of our breathing. We may feel restless or feeling tense or wound up. Some of these feelings could be psychological, where we have excessive fear, where we're scared of everything around us. We might worry a lot, and we might think that everything is going to be all bad. Sometimes we can have obsessive thinking and continue to think about the same thing going round and round in our heads. Some of them might be behavioural, where we may avoid a situation that may make us feel anxious, and this can impact on our study, work, or our social life. These normal emotions tend to be connected to a stressful situation or event, such as a school exam or even a speeding car. But sometimes we can experience these emotions and feelings more frequently or persistently, and we may not always know what it is that is worrying us. This can impact on our quality of life and day-to-day functioning, and our bodies are feeling that we are in danger. The fight, flight, or freeze mechanism are responses to these perceived dangers, and is our body's natural reaction to danger. It's a type of response that helps you react to something that scares or worries you, like an oncoming car or a growling dog, where we may need to fight, run away, or freeze. The response instantly causes a hormonal and physical changes or feelings in our body. The fight response may be recognised in us when we argue or shout at people around us, which is never a good reaction. But if we were in a situation where we may be being attacked or chased by a shark in the sea, then this is the correct response. The flight response may be recognised in us when we leave a situation that we find difficult. We may go and shut ourselves away in our bedrooms, leave the classroom when we weren't supposed to. But if we were in the way of a speeding car, this would be the correct response to move out of the way very quickly. The freeze response can be recognised in when we feel that we are frozen and cannot make a decision about what to do next. Have you ever heard the saying, like a rabbit in the headlights? A rabbit confronted by a speeding car may freeze in the middle of the road and not know that the most safest thing to do is to hop off to the side of the road. And when we feel like this, we cannot always act in a way that would give us the best outcome. You may need some help with understanding what our emotional early warning signs are. So here are a few examples of other functions or feelings that happen in our bodies every day and that we are able to recognise. So if I took notice of my body and my stomach was rumbling and I was feeling tired and did not have much energy, what my body would be telling me is that I'm hungry. So now that I know that my body is feeling hungry, what can I do to help that feeling? Well, I can eat something. So what do you think would happen if you ignored these feelings and did not eat anything? The feelings would get louder and more intrusive. You may start to get stomach aches, or you may be feeling hangry, hungry, angry, and very tired. What would happen if we keep ignoring these feelings? then you would become very unwell. Okay, so we can now understand that when we feel hungry, this is our body's early warning sign to help us keep healthy and safe, and that we need to listen and take notice of what our bodies are trying to tell us. And this is the same with emotional feelings that we have in our bodies. Being able to recognise these physical and emotional signs in our bodies can help us understand why we are feeling like we do. So let's take a few minutes to identify what each of our early warning signs are on our gingerbread man. Remember, we are thinking about the early warning signs of when we feel worried, angry or scared.
Hello everybody, I hope you're enjoying yourself so far, and in the interest of some good well-being, what I'd like to invite you to do now is take a break. So go and stretch your legs, run around, take some time away, and then come and join us once you've had a short break. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Eva and I'm one of the school nurses. So moving to secondary school can make you feel excited, worried, might feel a bit nervous, but it's actually a great opportunity to meet new people and make new friends. Now, it's very natural to compare yourselves to others, and that can sometimes have an effect on our self-esteem. Our self-esteem is the way we see ourselves and the way we feel about ourselves. And it's very natural for your self-esteem to sometimes be low at some point in your life. And that happens to many children, and it often passes away on its own. So one way to keep your self-esteem high is to focus on the positive qualities that belong to you. They make you you. There's only one of you and you are unique. I would now like to invite you to take part in this activity, which helps you to think about those unique qualities. So I'd like you to look at the template that might be printed out ready for you. If not, you can draw one and it will look something like this. It's a shield with 4 sections in it, and in each section I'd like you to write 4 statements. I am, I have, I can, and I like. And think about those things. What's special about you? You can write it down or draw a picture or a symbol. So we'll take some time now to pause the video and allow you to have a go at this now. Well done. A shield is something that's used as protection, and you might like to think of your shield as something that can protect you from negative feelings about yourself. So you might like to stick your shield template on the wall, maybe in your bedroom or on the fridge at home, and use it as a reminder of your good, special, positive qualities. And that's one way that you can use to help to keep your self-esteem high. So now my colleague Debbie is going to talk to you about something we call the stop skill.
Hello, my name is Debbie and I'm a school nurse and wellbeing practitioner. This video is about the stop strategy that we learn about on our wellbeing workshops. Stop is something we can use to respond in a calm and positive way to our early warning signs that we talked about in a previous video. Stop is made up of 4 actions, 1 for each letter of the word. S is for stop, to take a pause and to think about how we might act. It provides us with an opportunity. Think about situations that you've maybe had before where you've stopped before you've acted. T is for take a breath.
Take a deep breath and slowly breathe out, imagining you're blowing bubbles. So a deep breath in and slowly out. Notice what is happening in your body. Our tension reduces, and this allows our thinking brain to come back online. O is for observe. What is it that you're feeling, and what thoughts are going through your head? Where is your focus? And then P. P is for pull back. When we look at things really close up, we only see a small amount of the picture. If we hold something further away, we see more of it. And it's the same in a situation. If we pull back from the situation, we can see more of what's going on around us and therefore make a more balanced judgment on how to act. All of these skills and strategies take practice. So even in the smallest situation, when you are noticing your early warning signs, think about using stop. Stop and pause, take a breath, observe what you're thinking and feeling, pull back before deciding how to act.
I'm going to talk to you now about self-care. So there are some things that we can do that really help us to not become overwhelmed by emotions. They're really, really basic building blocks of a healthy lifestyle. Eating well is really important. We know that if we have a lot of sugary food, that can trigger the release of hormones in our body, which can feel a little bit like worry. It can make our heart beat faster, and it can make us feel a little bit sick. And those feelings are a little bit like fear. So if we eat a lot of sugary food, it can make us feel emotionally different. The other thing is, if we eat a lot of sugary food, we then get changes in our energy levels. So we can feel like we've got a lot of energy for a brief period of time, and then we get into an energy slump and we feel really tired and we don't want to do anything. And actually, that's really not good for our emotional health. It's really good to eat regular, healthy meals. We need to have a combination of carbohydrates like bread, pasta, potatoes, protein like meat or cheese or yogurt, nuts and seeds, and vegetables and fruit, things like tomatoes, cucumber, peas, carrots, oranges and apples. Eating regular healthy meals that are balanced gives us optimal health. So it means our hormones are balanced, and it means all the chemicals in our body are working together in a really positive way. When we don't eat well, it does impact how everything inside us works, which then impacts how we feel in our body, which impacts how we feel in our mind. So looking after our body is really important when we're thinking about looking after our mind. Another thing that's really important is exercise. Physical activity is a really good way of letting off steam, of getting some of our difficult feelings out and burning away some of the chemicals that build up in our body, our hormones, in response to stress. This could be bouncing on the trampoline, running, bike riding, walking, skipping, doing exercises at home. It doesn't need to be expensive, and it's something that you can manage in your bedroom or your garden or in the park with your family. Exercise is really important every day, and for children of your age, you should be physically active for at least an hour a day, every day of the week. Another thing that's really helpful is making sure we get enough sleep. If we don't get enough sleep, then the chemicals, the hormones, build up inside our body. When we sleep, our hormone levels go back to normal. And if we don't get enough sleep, then we don't give our body enough time to manage those hormonal changes. And when you're going into puberty and growing and developing, your body's releasing a lot more hormones than before. Sleep's also when we grow. So as you're going to be growing an awful lot over the next few years, you want to give yourself the best chance of becoming big and tall and strong. So sleep is really important. we've got some videos about sleep on our YouTube channel, and if sleep is something that you find difficult, you could talk to your parents about accessing those videos or talking to a school nurse, because we can help you to get better sleep. For children of your age, you need about between 9.5 and 10 hours sleep a night as a minimum. So if you're not getting that much sleep, it'd be really helpful to access those videos and maybe talk to a school nurse. Another thing that's really helpful in terms of promoting our emotional health and also our sleep is to schedule a talk time earlier in the day. I don't know about you, but I know that when I go to bed, that's when I start thinking about all the things I've worried about. And it's really helpful if we take time to think about those things and process them and talk them through with a trusted adult at an earlier point in the day. It may be that when you come home from school, you just need to chill out for a little while. Maybe you're going to have a snack, maybe you're going to bounce on the trampoline, or maybe you're going to go on the computer for a little while. But after you've done that and you've had that downtime coming home from school, it's really helpful to talk to somebody about any thoughts or feelings that have worried you a little bit, because talking it through earlier will mean that it doesn't come and plague you when you go to bed. So scheduling in a talk time is really helpful. It's also really important to do things that help us to relax. So we talked a little bit about downtime when we come home from school, but think about the things that help you to relax. Spending time on the computer shooting people isn't the best form of relaxation. It's fun, and I'm not telling you not to do it, but it is important that you take a break from that within the hour or two before bed, because it's too stimulating and it doesn't help you to feel relaxed and ready for sleep. It's also really helpful to think about some of the things that do help you relax. Maybe it's colouring, drawing, writing, might be reading, could be knitting. It could be building little models or painting things. We're all different and we have different ways to relax. But it's really important to think about and explore what helps you relax, and make sure you build that into your daily routine so you've got some time to do stuff that is good for your soul. Do things that you enjoy, that make you happy, that give you good positive feelings. And it's really helpful if you can build in every day thinking about 3 things that have gone well or that you feel grateful for, because it can really help us to think about and start to build a positive mindset. So not everything goes well every day. We don't get things right all the time. We're all human and we can all make mistakes. And we're lucky because we can forgive ourselves and each other. But what we can do is really focus on what's gone well, because that can build positive feelings and help us to learn to use those strategies on other occasions too. It's good to spend time connected with people, whether it's friends, whether it's family, whether it's even our pets. It's good to spend time building a relationship with another being. Try and do some of that every day too. I'd like to take us into an activity just now called the water lily activity. You should see a picture of some children putting their folded up pieces of paper into the water. What happens with the water lilies is when you put them on the water, the petals open, and then as the water soaks in, everything that you've written on them in felt tip kind of comes away and it goes into the water. This is a really nice way of letting out difficult emotions or letting go of memories of difficult experiences or worries we might have of something that might happen in the future. And I've talked during this video about how sometimes we can get stuck in thought patterns about things that we're worried about for the future or things that have felt bad in the past. This activity, this water lily activity, is an activity we can do to let go of some of those thoughts and feelings, and it can help us to stop getting stuck in those patterns of thinking. I would like to invite you to use a felt tip and draw or write onto your water lily any of those thoughts that you would like to let go. You don't need to write it in words that someone else can read. If you're worried about someone else seeing what you've written, you can just draw some doodles or some little icons that mean something to you. These are mine and they don't mean anything to anybody else. When I put this on the water and the petals open up, and the water washes those thoughts and worries away, I'm going to try to let go of them and let them be floated away in the water. And I'm going to feel lighter because I know that those thoughts have now gone. Doesn't mean the thought won't come back again another time in the future, but I'll practice those mindfulness activities to help me be grounded in the moment so that I don't need to go on to that difficult cyclical thought that can sometimes feel quite hard to get out of. So I'd invite you now just to take those pieces of paper, cut them out if they're not already cut out, use a felt tip pen that's washable so that it'll come away in the water, and draw, doodle or write onto the water lily, whatever it is that you would like to let go of today, then pop it in the water. Another way you could practice this at home sometimes is to use bubble blowing. So as you blow the bubbles, those thoughts, you can just let them go in the bubbles, and as they pop, you can see them as gone. Some people like to write things down and screw up the piece of paper or rip the piece of paper, and these activities, we call them cathartic activities. They're just ways of letting go of thoughts and feelings, of taking a moment to really acknowledge that it's been difficult and I'm going to let it go. It's really helpful. Do that now, and then my colleague Eva is going to do a grounding activity with you called the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 mindfulness activity.
So I'd like to invite you to get into a comfy position, maybe seated in a chair with your feet firmly on the ground and your hands resting in your lap. And to start off with, we'll just take a couple of deep breaths, in and out. So to begin, take a look around the room and look for 5 things you can see. Things that you may not have noticed before. Maybe a pattern on the wall or light reflecting from an object. Now think about 4 things you can feel. Maybe the temperature in the room, the pressure of your feet on the floor, the sensation of your clothes resting on your shoulders. Now think about 3 things you can hear. Maybe some background noise, outside or in the room next door. Now think about 2 things you can smell. The aroma in the room. Sometimes the smell may not be a nice smell. Don't judge it, just notice. And lastly, 1 thing you can taste. Maybe the last thing you've eaten, or perhaps some toothpaste, or maybe just a feeling of thirst. And then we finish by taking a couple of deep breaths in and out. And that's the end of the exercise. I hope you enjoyed taking part, and I'd encourage you to practice at home. Thanks for listening. So we're coming to the end of the video now, and I hope you found it helpful and useful. You might like to check out our YouTube channel, and there you'll find a selection of short videos about emotional well-being that are for you and for your teachers and for your family. So if you're watching this at school, your teacher will give you a pack which will include an activity sheet and some information to remind you about the stop skill. If you're watching this at home, you can access all of this on our website. So when you get to secondary school, you will be able to see your school nurse at something we call the drop-in. And this is usually held once a week at lunchtime, and it's a safe place where you can talk to your school nurse and get helpful, friendly advice about any questions or worries you might have regarding your physical or emotional well-being. So we also have a text messaging service that we call Chat Health, and that's where you can text your school nurse for friendly, helpful advice. Now, whether you come to see us face to face or whether you text us, we treat that information as confidential, and that means we only share with school or your family if we're really worried about your safety and welfare. So on behalf of all of the school nurses in Northamptonshire, I want to wish you the very best for moving from Year 6 to Year 7. So if you keep watching, you're going to see some of the lovely faces of our school nurses and some information that we've shared with you, details of our YouTube channel and our website. So thank you and stay safe.